meeting of the Mount Aberdeen Regional School District to order. The time is now 7 o'clock. Can you do roll call, please? Oh, excuse me. I believe, Ms. Farrow, we have two people to lead us in our pledge. To ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which the business affecting their interest is discussed or agreed upon. In accordance with the provision of this Act, the Mount Aberdeen Regional School District Board of Education advertised this meeting on February 1st, 2019 in the Asbury Park Press and the Star Ledger. This notice was sent to the municipal clerks of the Borough of Manawan and the Township of Aberdeen and the Manawan Aberdeen Joint Free Public Library. The notice was also placed on the district's website. Mr. Ferreira, could you take roll call, please?
Yes, good evening. Mr. Ahern? Mr. Brenham? Dr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Monson? Ms. Moore? Ms. Happy?
Yes.
Ms. Bell? Ms. Esposito?
Here.
Ms. Freeman?
Here. May I have a motion to accept the minutes from January 7th? I'll make a motion. May I have a second? Is there any comments or discussion on those minutes? Seeing none.
Dr. Lane? Mr. Monson? Ms. Moore? Ms. Happy?
Yes.
Ms. Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Esposito?
Yes.
Ms. Freeman?
Yes. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting on January 14th, the executive sessions meeting minutes on January 14th, as well as the regular action minutes from January 28th and the executive session meeting minutes from January 28th?
I'll make a motion.
A second. Can you take a vote, please? Or any discussion? Seeing none?
Dr. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Monson?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Happy?
Yes.
Ms. Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Esposito?
Yes.
Ms. Freeman?
Yes. As for the board president's report, just to keep it simple, the transportation presentation went up on the website, so anybody who wasn't able to come to the meeting, I hope they have some time to look at it. I do hope and believe that we're on schedule to have a first read of that policy at the workshop meeting at the beginning of March. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the superintendent, Dr. Michael.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I would like to call up Ms. Bell to go over Strathmore Elementary School highlights for all the missions.
Good evening, Dr. Micah, Mrs. Perez, Mr. Bombardier, Mr. Ferrara, Mr. Liebman, and Board of Education members. As principal of Strathmore Elementary School, I would like to welcome you this evening, and we are thrilled to be hosting tonight's Board of Education meeting. I would like to start off by first recognizing our three pledge leaders. When I call your name, please come to the podium. Al Gabriel, Brett Mandarino, and Tristan. We practiced today a little bit differently than what we're doing tonight. If you notice, Al Gabriel went to shake my hand. We're going to get there, Al Gabriel, okay? And I'd also like to recognize our Safety Patrol Advisor, Mrs. DiBrienza. school every morning, you will see these students out in front of the school putting the flag up every morning. And at the end of every school day, they take the flag down and they fold it properly and put it away for the next day of school. These students are very responsible, and they do an excellent job every day. And boys, you did an excellent job this evening leading us in the pledge. So, Ms. DeBranda, can I get her certificate? Al Gabriel, thank you for doing such a wonderful job. Brent Mandarino, great job tonight. And Tristan, thank you for leading us in the pledge and putting the flag up every day for us. Okay, I'm going to ask these boys to remain standing. The next group of safety patrols that I would like to honor, I call them the front office crew. We have a lot of safety patrols that do a lot of different things in our school, very important jobs. If you are selected as a safety patrol, you are considered one of the leaders at Strathmore Elementary School, and they all do an excellent, excellent job. The reason why I'm honoring these students tonight is, once again, they're the front office crew. Every morning, at the start of the school day, we all go and do our duty. Right, boys and girls? And they do all different kinds of things. First of all, we start off by welcoming the students to school every morning. It's a very tough job, especially on Monday mornings. A lot of students are not so excited to say good morning to us, but without avail, these students are welcoming the students to school. We remind the students to shuffle down the carpet, another very important job. If you have wet feet and you don't dry your feet, you will go flying, and we've seen some students do that, right? Other students, other members of the front office crew go and get breakfast for some of our students who are part of our Here Builder program. So students will get other students breakfast and deliver the breakfast right to the classroom, so no time is wasted at all. And then we have a group of students who are part of our backpack buddies. And what they do is they take food and put them in backpacks to deliver them to some students who need some extra food to take home to families. So all very, very important jobs. That's all before 9:20. Okay, that's all. They do all that in 10 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. They also deliver very important cupcakes when it's somebody's birthday, and all kinds of other things that we need done before school starts. Then, at dismissal, they also have very important jobs. Most of them turn in, I think all of them turn into the shoe tying crew, another very important job in elementary school. We have 400 students here. Not everybody has learned how to tie their shoe yet, but these students are able to tie shoes like that. So when I call your name, front office crew, please come and get your certificate and then stand in line like we practice, okay? Callie Fry. Brandon Poland. Isabella. Eric Ritter. And Zachary Johnson. One member of our crew is not here this evening. Unfortunately, she is ill, but I would just like to recognize her, Amelia Prizer. Not only are they safety patrol, they're also part of the 3rd grade chorus. On January 29th, our 3rd grade chorus, under the direction of our music teachers, Mr. Pruitt and Miss Sardoni, performed their winter concert in the Lloyd Road Auditorium. The concert entitled What a Wonderful World was all about students growing up and feeling that they are empowered to create a brighter future. The students sang songs about togetherness, hope, peace, love, and inspiration. Students sang, danced, and performed sign language and truly entertained over 400 family and friends. Tonight, a select group of students are here to perform 2 songs. We hope you not only leave here tonight having heard some wonderful music, but that you also feel like you too can truly make the world a better place to live, one small step at a time. Without further ado, I give you a select chorus performing 2 numbers.
The next selection you will hear is When I Grow Up from Matilda the Musical, just like the movie and book by Roald Dahl. Matilda grows up in a less than supportive environment. Matilda spends her spare time with her head in a book instead of in front of the TV like her parents. Every day Matilda wishes that she could grow up in a world where she isn't ruled by grown-ups. She and other children would eat sweets every day, watch cartoons until their eyes go square, and not put on sunscreen because you don't burn when you're all grown up. The simple message of childhood freedom will feature soloists Madeline Lindsay, Amelia Parker, Catherine Brennan, Kelly Segala, Samantha Ansvarsky, Leah Pinky Comfort, and Isabel Brown. This is When I Grow Up.
Our final selection was also our concert's theme song. All of the songs we performed at our concert have been about creating a brighter future. And this timeless song made by Louis Armstrong is the perfect way to sum up our message. No matter what we choose to do with our lives, it is up to us to work together and create the wonderful world we know we can have. We hope our songs tonight have inspired you and made you see that a world of peace and love can be right around the corner.
The
As the students are getting ready for the final selection of the evening, first I want to thank you all for coming out tonight and hope you're enjoying yourself. The second, I'd like to honor one of our soloists tonight who had to do something very unexpected. As Mrs. Barra had said before, one of our soloists, Amelia Kaiser, unfortunately is sick and could not join us tonight. So we were in a scramble this morning who could do the solo from those who part, who rehearsed, who gave an audition. And I asked our first soloist, Madeline Lindsay, I said, Madeline, do you know both solos? And she looks and goes, okay. So just like that, with about one practice session, Madeline was able to pull off 2 solos for the price of 1. So please give her a big round of applause. Thank you. That being said, this is one of my very favorites, What a Wonderful World. Please resist the urge to sing along. I know it's always a happy.
At this time, I'd like to call on Mr. Lehman to discuss our SSDS and HIV reporting for the dates September 1, 2018 through December 31st, 2018.
Thank you and good evening. So we've shared with the board the semi-annual district report of student safety data. This is reporting period 1. The report includes incidents on violence, vandalism, substances, weapons, and HIV confirmed. So the report breaks down each of our schools by category with the required number of instances that were reported. It also includes HIV trainings and programs that took place in each school throughout the district during reporting period 1, which is September 1st, 2018 to December 31st, 2018. I also want to share with the board, this is the second year where the report is done in this fashion. And take a look at some of the trends from last school year, reporting period 1 to reporting period 1 now. All elementary schools from pre-K through 5, the number of incidents have trended down this school year. At the middle school, the numbers remain flat, which means that the same number of incidents that took place in report period 1 last year, the same number as this year, and the high school is down by 1, so relatively remains flat as well. So that is some good news where we are down in terms of number of reports from most of the buildings. And that concludes the semi-annual district report for report period 1.
Thank you, Mr. Beeman. At this time, I would like to call up Ms. Perez, who will report out on special services programs.
So tonight, we would like to go over updates on specific programs for our board members. We do serve pre-K to 12 plus with special ed programs and services, but we will focus on parent school solutions tonight, effective process learning experiences, high school to work program, our Keys Academy, Cambridge Park preschool expansion, and related services model. So with effective school solutions, this is something that we brought in last year. We're in year 2. They provide clinical and wraparound services for students with behavioral and emotional problems. There are students at risk, is what we say. They sometimes are students who are struggling with school phobia, anxiety, depression. Right now, at Avalon High School, we have 1 full-time clinician with 9 students, and we have 4 pending. The additional counseling services clinician is on the agenda for tonight, so we can service those 4 additional students, and we will be able to serve up to 18 students for the remainder of the year. At MAMS, we have 2 full-time clinicians with a total of 18 students in the program. Effective School Solutions, the reason that we also brought them in was because they provide a variety of services that include professional development, family therapy, and they also provide parent training and home visits at home when there are families in distress. And the monthly parent groups that are provided are focused on specific challenges that the families are facing. Those are current. The staff support that's provided in terms of professional development is regarding focus on strategies, interventions, helping teachers learn about those specific challenges, whether they're emotional or behavioral, and how to address it in the classroom so they can maximize student learning while they're in school. They also engage in daily consultation with teachers, support staff, and the admin. So most recently, we had a workshop in January, which was focused on healthy relationships. We had about 25 family members attend. That was with their children as well, both middle school and high school. So we hold 1 parent meeting with both families in those particular schools. And essentially, what they do is they work. It's very interactive. They work on different activities. They talk about family goals that they are working on at home, but also individual goals, whether it's for the particular student or for the family as a whole. And then in September and also now in March for our professional development, we have nurture hard approach, professional development training, positive behavior supports, self-regulation, and also mindfulness, which is all included in the contract that's provided to the district. So some of the highlights for the first market period, now going into second market period. With the 18th, there's a total of 27 students as a whole served between middle school and high school. What we did notice was there was a decrease in absences and discipline and an increase in GPA. So obviously if students are attending school, then they're able to learn, and then so you'll see an increase and an improvement in their grades. At MAMS, with the 18 students that are served, it's both general ed students and special ed. 3 students we had returned from home instruction. We had 0 students be referred to an out-of-district placement. And what we call urgent visits, we had approximately 177, which means that students who may have had difficulty, whether it's on a Monday and they had kind of like a challenging weekend, and they needed to talk to someone, they might have attended homeroom and first period class, but then they maybe had a meltdown and they wanted to see their particular clinician or their counselor. Those are what we call urgent sessions. If the student does go to see their counselor during a non-scheduled counseling session, what the counselor is working with them is really just on some coping skills, what can they do to return back to class, for the students to return eventually back to class. At the high school, with the 9 students served there, we have one tuition-in student, which the district is paying to participate in the program and also receive their education here. Presently, it's just special education only. We have 5 students that return from home instruction, 0 students out of district, and we had approximately 73 urgent sessions there at the high school. So with the additional counselors, we would have the anticipated enrollment for April would be 13, which would include now gen ed and special education. So the students that are struggling with anxiety, I have it listed on the left, depression, panic attacks, some hospitalizations if they were in crisis, suicide, school phobia. Those students, right now, we want to serve general ed and special ed because it's not just those particular issues are not just focused on special education students. There are general education students that are really struggling with those challenges as well. So in terms of, and then now with Effective School Solutions, what we do is we're transitioning and planning and projecting for the upcoming school year. The 8th grade student, the student population will transition to 9th grade to Effective School Solutions as well. And then we start planning in terms of ensuring that they're continuing to receive services. And they also get extended school year counseling services, which is included in the contract as well. At Lloyd Road, this is something really exciting. This was new this year. We call it Authentic Learning. They grouped the child study team along with the staff there at Lloyd Road, and the students opened up a breakfast club, which provides a variety of breakfast items, bagels, yogurt, granola, muffins, etc., to the teachers. The students prepare it. They go out to the supermarket. They purchase all of the items. They take the teachers' orders, and they also deliver it to the classrooms, and they also engage with the teachers. Sometimes they're sitting down, having their bagel with them, and or with the other students in the classroom. So it's something that these students take great pride in, as well as the staff there. So it's really nice to see that. At MAMS, they call it the Bistro Beverage Program, and that's implemented in the entry program, the monthly favorite program. At MAMS, this allows students to work on generalized on various life and social skills. Again, they're taking orders on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They're delivering coffee. They're preparing iced tea. They have an iced tea station, hot station. They also have bagels, etc. And the students prepare as well. They go to the supermarket with money that they're provided with. They have a shopping list and they purchase all the items to run that. And this is all set up. Also, we have 2 life skills rooms, one at the middle school and also at the high school. I'll get to that in a second. But they prepare all of the food there as well under the supervision of the teacher. And at the high school, we have a ribbon cutting. Hopefully someone can make it on March 5th. I believe at 1 p.m. I'm sorry. But this is the student store that's opening up, and they will also have a mobile coffee tea cart that was donated. We received some funding from USP that we're very, very thankful for. So they too will open that up. The emblem in the back is actually a drawing that one of our students made in for the cafe. So I've been here 3 years, March, December. When I started, we worked on the following school year. We started the 18 to 21-year-old program, which is what we call our school work program. It's called REACH, and it's recognizing educational achievements and career goals for students. We're really, really proud of this program. It's offering students with experiences that is helping them transition to adulthood adulthood beyond 21. So this will be our first class that will be leaving the Matawan district, but moving on to work placements. Some of them are working at Noble, Port Gestures, Odell's, Bed Bath & Beyond. So we're super, super proud of all of our students, and we're going to miss them. So we have five students that will be leading the program. With those 5 students, then we have an additional 5 more, so we'll have approximately 10 students for the upcoming school year. So we started with 5, and there's 5 are leaving, and then it's continuing to grow. So which is really, really exciting to see. What we do with the child study team members, along with the staff there, we organize meetings with the vocational rehabilitation, DDP, all of the department agencies, so in this way, families can prepare for that big transition, but also the resources that come with it, because there is a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of red tape, paperwork, et cetera, that does need to be completed to ensure that they're continuing to receive services after 21. So part of the day also includes academics. So we're focusing on communication skills, building interpersonal relationships, resume for some of our students, some interviewing techniques for some of them as well, and also technology and safety. So we also talk about that as well, and also budgeting and taking the train or the bus. So it's really evolved into something we're very proud of. So Keys Academy, knowledge empowers youth and sobriety. This academy, for those of you that do not know, in January of last year, we opened up on the Brookdale campus. We collaborated with Right Good Life, which is a local agency here in Matawan, and Board of Education approved for us to work on a proposal and also an application with the Department of Education to open up an alternative high school program, which is so Keys offers a program for students who are seeking a sober lifestyle, who are not yet ready to return back to their traditional high school. So we are now serving students in Monmouth, Middlesex, and Ocean County. We currently have 8 students, and we have 4 pending students ready to do it. So the goal of Keys is essentially to establish and maintain sobriety after they receive services and a program, safety. Number 2, I have up here, enhance and strengthen coping skills and healthy decision making, which is huge for not only these students, but all of our students in terms of being safe and making those right choices. Understand the disease and concept of addiction. Work the recovery program that was established in early treatment intervention, so continuing on the path of recovery, focusing on those essential skills. Learn to integrate health, wellness, and spiritual connection with the healing process, and improve academic performance and achieve completion of high school. Ultimately, the students that we are serving right now, there are huge gaps. Some of them have not been in school for over a year due to either home instruction or relapse. We're happy to say that we're able to close that gap and give them some consistency and structure so that they ultimately can obtain their high school diploma at the graduate. Keys Academy is a blended learning model, so their classes are online, and they also have face-to-face contact as well with teachers. We have 2 teachers on staff, both general ed and special ed certified. In addition to that, though, the requirement due to the high school requirements, there are other courses that we have to take for graduation. We have the opportunity, because it's on the Brookdale campus, the beautiful thing is that they're also able to participate in full enrollment. Last year we had 3 students participate and they took a course at Brookdale in anthropology, and currently we have 2 students. We continue to seek input from the students that are participating in the program and get feedback, also from the professionals that are working with the students there, so that this way we can ensure that we continue to grow and offer the maximum support for the students to be successful. We have certified addiction counselors, mental health clinicians with experience with substance abuse, mental health. We provide monthly family our families' psychoeducational programs. We connect with community YMCA for intensive services as well. We follow the 12-step philosophy of recovery, recovery mentors and coaches, and we continue to work with any outpatient services as well. So just to go back, last year in January, we received a grant that was from the Department of Education to start the program, and also this school year we received a grant as well. So it's at no cost to any of the students' home districts. Currently, their students are in grades 9 to 12. I mentioned that in 9. We have 4 pending intakes. They do have to be sober and test negative for any drugs or alcohol. And they must exhibit a strong commitment to their recovery. So it's not they have to want to be there in order for it to work for them, but also for the rest of the students that are serving them. And now, Cambridge Park Preschool, Ms. Lace is going to talk about some of the exciting things that are coming up with the preschool.
Currently, we have 4.5 general education classrooms. Those are classrooms where our students primarily pay tuition. We have 3 self-contained classrooms. Self-contained classrooms are all students that have IEPs. All of our teachers are dual certified in elementary or grade, which is preschool, and special education. We have in the general education classes approximately 15 students that pay tuition and 5 that have IEPs. That can vary from class to class, but that's approximately. Each classroom, in the self-contained classrooms, we have a maximum of 12 students per foot. Obviously, we like to turn numbers down, not have 12 in the classroom, 12 students, but it depends on how many students they age when they turn 3 and how many when they leave us after they're done with kindergarten. Each classroom has a minimum of a teacher and 1 instructional assistant. There could be more instructional assistants, it just depends on the student needs in the classroom. So currently we have 50 classified students and 46 tuition students. Of those 50 classified students, 11 are half day, 39 are full day, and 28 of them are in general education classrooms, which is something we're very proud of because we work very hard to create an inclusive environment so that our students can be with their typical peers during the day. 32 of those students are in self-contained classrooms. All of our students at Cambridge Park have an opportunity at some point throughout the day to interact with their typical peers, so nobody is ever in a self-contained classroom and stays throughout the day. We have, out of our 46 tuition students, 7 of them are half day and 39 are full day. We have a very active PTO. Right now it's made up of 2 parents. Their students are graduating, going to kindergarten next year, so we're going to need some PTO members to join and work with us. They fund a lot of our programs. Right now they fund Rock This Music, which is preschool rock. They come every 2 weeks. Students love it. Each class learns a variety of skills, and some songs, instruments. We also have yoga, which we just started last month. That's weekly. And they also fund programs such as chicks inductive attachments. Our chicks got delivered today. Actually, and then we lost power. So now the chicks are in my office getting ready to hatch. So I'm sure most of you have heard about New Jersey's preschool expansion grant. This year marks the 20th anniversary of what's been called the Happy School preschool program. That's a national, international model, high quality, effective preschool education. Despite its success over a decade ago, we still have many more children, including those in our district, that do not have access to free preschool. Over $120 million so far has been allocated to provide high-quality preschool students, which was the first round of the grant that came out in 2014, I believe, and it wasn't until 2017 that those schools were actually funded. Another round came out last year. We weren't eligible though because it was only for the districts that already received funding. But now we know, the governor and the commissioner have both shown that they're committed to investing in free New Jersey preschools. So the next question point, we're expecting to be announced, we're hoping will be announced at the time of the budget is released in March. When that time arrives, we do anticipate that there's a grant opportunity being announced. We are going to apply for that as well. We are eagerly anticipating this, hoping that our students in our district can receive to expand our preschool. So what we've done over the course of the last few years is align ourselves with the state model. So when that time does arrive, we've done most of the legwork already. So the state model, what is high quality? What does that mean? Forgive me, I can't see it. Early learning standards and curriculum that address the whole child, that are developmentally appropriate and effectively implemented. Our district uses high scope. We've received high scope training. We brought in trainers last year, foreign trainers. This year we've had some trainers, and we include our instructional assistants as much as we can with that training because they are a vital part of our school. Assessments that consider the child's academic, social, emotional, and physical progress. High scope comes with a core advantage, the online assessment piece, which teachers use to collect anecdotal data and create reports and communicate with parents. And we started using that last year on sort of a trial basis. This year our teachers use it with fidelity. The Eckers 5, which is the early childhood rating scale, which would be something that's required for us to go through should we get money from the state. Well, we've already started utilizing that to align ourselves as best as we can. We actually had a professional development day by Dr. Holly, I can't pronounce her last name, but she's actually the one that runs the assessment piece out of William Patterson. So again, should we get funding down the road, she'll actually come out to our school with her crew into the assessment firms. Support for English language learners and children with special needs. I've already gone over that. Family engagement. We've had 2 parent workshops so far run by our social worker. We're anticipating having 2 more before the end of the year. Sufficient learning time. We expanded to full-day programs. So, like I said, we only have 2 classrooms right now that are half day. Next year, we will only be offering full day for our tuition students. The reason being that should we receive money from the state, the grant, we are required to have students in school for 6 hours a day. Small class sizes, our ratio again is in line with the state model. High scope is a built-in PQA, which is a program self-assessment piece, and a rating system, which the state uses Grow New Jersey Kids. We were enrolled 2 years ago and are actively participating in that already. District-wide, I just want to briefly talk about our related service delivery model. We use a lot of models to provide our students with related services. That's OT, PT, speech. Like always, we want to provide these services in the child's natural setting as much as we can in the least restrictive environment. So we try to make it so our students can participate in general education curriculum as much as possible. These have to meet their annual educational goals and help students take part in extracurricular and non-academic activities. So we use several models. We use a consult model, a collaborative model, where teachers and service providers work together to meet the needs of the student in the classroom. We have coach reading models. Coach reading models is when we have two different the providers, like an OT and a PT, working together with coach reading at the same time. So the trial, you're meeting the whole child rather than just focusing on one area. We have integrated services where our service providers go into the classrooms rather than pull out, which is the last service model, which is the pull out model. At the preschool, we try to, as much as possible, provide our students with integrated services because that's really where they're going to get the biggest benefit because they'll be learning through play with their typical peers. But district-wide, we use a variety of models whenever best needs to be used. Thank you very much for listening.
So good evening, everyone. Thank you again for your patience. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty. So most of you already know my name is Alex Ferrer, I'm the School Business Administrator for the district. My goal is to obviously help the local administration of the board craft a budget that meets the needs of our students. This is actually kind of part 2 of a 4-part series. I know that some VAs like to kind of do everything in one shot, one long thing. I think this kind of try to kind of facilitate a little bit and engage the conversation a little bit more, breaking it up. So the first part kind of starts off after the audit presentation. I kind of presented after that, kind of set the stage a little bit with reference to some of the common terminologies, the process, budget timeline, that kind of thing. This is kind of, like I said, the second presentation. It focuses on the revenue, so kind of touching a little bit on where the district sees the revenue going over the 19-20 year, and some of the things that I'll kind of talk about a little bit, kind of touched on what Ms. Perez and Ms. Laser talked about, both from the preschool as well as Kids Academy. So basically what we're going to cover tonight is the sources, the historical data of how the current year, which is 18-19, compares to projected for 19-20, assumptions, the kind of stuff that we have kind of on the back of our head as we kind of progress, especially as it pertains to state aid and other kinds of items that some of them we have control over, some of them we don't, and then projections. So this is going to be kind of a side-by-side kind of comparison of 19-20 as compared to the current year, 18-19. So sources of revenue. So starting off with the main purpose of this presentation kind of touches on the operating budget. And the reason that the operating budget is so important, A, because it includes 95% of our total budget, but also because that's the part that's most discretionary. So Fund 10, and I'll kind of go through each one of those sources in a second. Fund 10 is going to be your day-to-day operating budget, how you kind of interact and kind of deliver services to students, classroom supplies, paying teachers, paying staff, that kind of thing. Fund 20, which is going to be a little more restricted, that includes all of our grants. And for the most part, most of the grants are going to be categorical, which basically means that they have a very defined specific purpose. So for example, the IDEA grant that comes to kind of offset some of the costs related to special ed costs, there's very well specific defined parameters with reference to that grant. And the same thing for ESEA, which is a new version of NCLB. Fund 30, which is capital improvements. So the only revenue that you're really going to see there is going to be the proceeds from the bond referendum that we had a couple of years ago. So leading into the conversation for the next time, as it pertains to expenditures, we're about to kind of embark on year 3 of our 3-year plan for the referendum work. So the Fund 30 itself is going to kind of diminish over the next couple of years as we wrap up those projects and and then debt Fund 40, which is debt service fund. Basically, this is predefined. Once again, it is based upon the referendum proceeds. It's the actual paying back of the bond referendums. So currently, right now, we have two series. One of them is the referendum that was done in 2016, and one of them was the refunding bonds in 2011, which is basically just a renegotiation, refinancing of bonds from the previous year. So that's going to be fairly static as well. There's specific payment mechanisms, specific revenue mechanisms, and that's going to be determined based upon two sources of revenue. One of them is going to be debt service aid, money that comes back from the state to kind of offset some of the taxpayer liability, and the actual taxpayer liability, which is the majority of that fund. So back to Fund 10 really quickly. Local sources, those are going to be your tax levy, any tuition that we have for students coming into our specialized programs, transportation, and this transportation in the years past included subscription busing, but for the most part for next year, in anticipation of any transportation committee recommendations, as of right now, we're only projecting that's going to be based upon jointures. So a situation where we are the hosts of a specific route and a neighboring district chooses to contract with us to transport their few students to a private school, public school, whatever it is. And then the other thing, miscellaneous revenue or interest, that's going to be comply with local sources. State sources, that's going to be basically all your state aid. So for the most part, I put the three biggest pots there, which are equalization, transportation, and extraordinary aid. Let me just talk about that a little bit. So equalization and transportation are fairly static. They're based upon the funding formula. So back in 2008, 2009, Governor Christie, when he came into office, we had the funding formula kind of changed to what's referred to as SFRA. Last year, as the new budget deal got struck, now we're under a slightly different funding formula, which is S2. So what does that all mean? It basically means that, and especially as folks that kind of been paying attention to what's going on in Trenton, there's still a lot of like murkiness and cloudiness about where the state is going. Obviously, the intent of the governor is to help districts like ours to kind of increase the state aid, especially state aid that has been shorted to districts like ours over the course of years. That's obviously going to come from mostly from the pot of districts that, you know, for lack of a better term, have been overfunded over the course of a few years. But as I'm sure you've kind of been able to kind of keep up, there's obviously some conversations that are happening both at the legislative end as well as other legal avenues that are going on right now in some of those districts as they try to kind of recoup some of that state aid. So how that's all going to play out for us is yet to be determined. For right now, the messages that we're getting both from the county office as well as other sources that both Dr. Mike and I have at our disposal is that state aid is going to be flat. So that's kind of where we're kind of, that's our starting point as it pertains to tonight. But over the next couple of weeks, and back to Ms. Laser, when she kind of referenced the governor's budget address, it's actually March 5th. It got pushed back a couple of weeks this year. So within 48 hours, state aid has to be released from that date. So we'll kind of keep our ear to the ground and everything. Federal aid, the main pot of money for that is Medicaid Initiative. And basically what that is it reimburses districts for services that they provide, extraordinary services for students that are Medicaid eligible. So like Ms. Laser talked about, things like speech, OT, PT, nursing services, things like that. And then the last one, fund balance. This is going to be, so every year, the easiest way to kind of look at it is that you kind of create a roadmap, create a budget, and then over the course of the year, you might tweak things a little bit, and it gets to the end of the year, and you might not necessarily spend everything, right? So at that point, you have a couple of options. One of them is to fund the reserve accounts, which I'll talk about in a second. And the other one is the excess surplus calculation. So what that basically means is any dollar that you didn't spend in excess of those deposits into those reserve accounts, in essence, goes to be used towards the subsequent years offsetting the tax levy. So before we could go out and ask the taxpayers to kind of increase the tax levy, we have to use whatever kind of was generated from the previous year. So that's pretty straightforward. The reserve accounts, for the most part, we have three main reserves that a lot of districts utilize. One of them is capital reserve, and those are going to be the big time kind of projects. So for the next couple of years, we're talking about things like roof work, parking lot paving, track, the replacement of turf field. So those are all things that you normally use capital reserve for. And the main reason they use capital reserve for those things is because under the normal course of your operating budget, you wouldn't be able to just take out $1 million for something from one of those initiatives. So you try to kind of structure it so you replenish the capital reserve whenever you can, and then at least like this you have that fund to use as the different projects kind of come due. Maintenance reserve functions in a very similar process as capital reserve. The main exception is that it's specific to maintenance projects. So if you have a situation where there's a specific replacement of an item, for instance, like a boiler, a rooftop unit, that kind of thing, that typically, because it's replacement and not in addition of, it typically will fall under the maintenance reserve. And there's very specific limitations that we have in terms of withdrawing from that. And then the last one is emergency reserve. And that's the one that's one of the ones that are most restrictive. When it was created, the purpose of it is to kind of offer districts an opportunity to kind of reserve some money for kind of a rainy day. And the term emergency doesn't have a lot of significance as it pertains to the traditional emergency. Really what they meant by emergency is a situation where during the course of the school year, after you've crafted your budget, if your health benefits costs went up higher than you anticipated. The problem is that during the mid-year process of withdrawing money out of that emergency reserve, it's extremely strict. You in essence would have to justify that you've exhausted every other possible solution before withdrawing money from the emergency reserve. So what will happen in most cases is that districts that have accumulated money in the emergency reserve over the course of time, little by little, have no choice of how to use it because they couldn't withdraw it. So a few years ago, the state basically had to kind of coincide with what was going on in terms of needs for security improvements. The state basically expanded that definition to not only include the mid-year health benefits cost increases, but also security projects and security enhancements. So we've used that for the last couple of years since I've been here. We're kind of looking at some projects that we're looking to do for next year as well. It's not a ton of money that sits in that emergency reserve, but it helps kind of offset some of those projects. The Cambridge Park security vestibule is one example of things that we did this year. So that gives us kind of a snapshot of what those sources of revenue kind of look like. So moving on to historical data, this is the current year's budget revenue projections and the final budget that was adopted in April. So as you can see, local tax levy is a majority of what we're talking about here. And this is the actual money that's raised from taxpayers both in now and out of here. Transportation, that $29,000, once again, similar to this upcoming year. The estimation last year was that we weren't necessarily going to have a ton of subscription revenue, so at the time, our budget reflected just that jointure, the jointure payments from other local education agencies. Miscellaneous revenue, these are things like facility use fees, interest. As you can imagine, the interest on $19 million bond, now that obviously we're going to get latter stages of that, the interest earnings is going to be less, but over the first couple of years, the interest was fairly high. The other thing that we did this year, starting in July, is change banks, and we received more attractive interest rates to kind of generate that. State aid, this is the pot of money that I kind of talked about before, utilization aid, transportation aid, security aid, those kinds of things. Once again, from 17-18 to 18-19, which is the year that we're currently in, we saw a slight increase. Part of that governor's kind of rollout of the additional state aid funds. Federal aid, that's the semi, which is the Medicaid initiative. That is actually generated, it's generated by the state through and in conjunction with the federal government to be able to say, hey, here are the services that you're claiming, and consequently, here's how much we anticipate you being able to recoup from the federal government. So we don't have a lot of control over that either. Budget fund balance, this is, like I said, the amount of excess surplus that we kind of had in the previous year. And then the three withdrawals of the reserve accounts, capital reserve, maintenance reserve, and emergency reserve, like I talked about before. So the total fund pen budget for the current year that we're in was just over $69 million. So in terms of assumptions, where do you see kind of things going? So the main focus, obviously, is centered around the strategic plan. Everything having to do with both on the expenditure side as well as the revenue side. Let me just kind of give you an example. So as part of the strategic planning, there's some language in there that talks about kind of expanding kind of the different opportunities that we have in terms of revenues. Obviously, going out and for a thing that has more than I think straight as one thing. Things like risk assessment. So what that means is how aggressive do you want to be in terms of budgeting for your revenues and your expenditures, because that obviously is going to put the district in a slightly different position as the year goes along. Long-term planning, and this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about in terms of initiatives as it pertains to the Husky Urban College program, the program that Mr. Perez talked about in reference to the Department High School and Keys. And the idea is that the district kind of looks to kind of enhance the opportunities to students without kind of necessarily putting additional stress on the operating budget. In terms of ongoing review, these are the things that we kind of do on an ongoing basis, both the business office as well with the assistant superintendents, Mr. Liebman, Dr. Micah, about how we can kind of engage and kind of look at different opportunities that might be advantageous for the district to kind of generate additional revenue. So the one thing that I wanted to go and just touch on is, for the most part, the revenue conversation and the expenditure conversation are definitely linked, right? Because they have to basically balance. But in years past, up until the 2% cap kind of took effect, the idea was that you kind of put all of your projects and initiatives kind of on a whiteboard, total up what that was going to cost you, and then basically go to the taxpayers and say, okay, we would like to pass a budget in order to kind of do all these cool initiatives. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, that's not the way that things work anymore. And what I mean by that is the district has a statutory cap of 2% of the tax levy. There's a couple of exceptions that you can generate, one of them being health benefits waiver for kind of extraordinary health benefits costs. But for the most part, you have to live within your means kind of thing. So that's one of those things that as we kind of go through these assumptions and we look at kind of the revenue model as opposed to the expenditure model. Because it's almost like the whole kind of idea that you can't basically say, hey, I want to do all this good stuff. Now let me go find a job that allows me to do this. It's the opposite. You have a job, you have a certain income, and then you have to try to maximize that income as best as you can. So it's kind of that model. So to kind of touch on that, and kind of expand on that a little bit, the anticipated revenue for this upcoming year from 1920 does increase to 2% increase on tax levy, plus the health benefits waiver, which ends up being a total of 2.51. The utilization of the health benefits waiver is what I just talked about. Impact on transportation and tuition, both from a policy standpoint as well as other initiatives that we might have kind of an increase or decrease on that anticipated revenue. Miscellaneous revenue, like I said before, we're kind of always looking to introduced different methods that we have to offset the impact of the budget and the impact of the classroom. And then the policy and strategic plan, obviously, as we kind of gear up for the next wave of strategic plan, that has to be part of the conversation. State sources, like I said before, we're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with state aid. Extraordinary aid is one of those things that kind of changes from year to year. And basically, it's kind of the way that Ms. Blazer kind of described, you know, any excess cost that the district has to kind of educate students that are classified. Basically, you can claim, you can file an application, in essence, for extraordinary aid. And Ms. Perez's group does a really nice job every year of kind of putting that together and placing signing all the different costs, maximizing the application. But the way that it works is that you don't get the money back on a 1-to-1 ratio. Basically, there's a coefficient that they apply based upon what dollars they actually have. So it's almost like the state crafts a budget. That budget has a specific number of dollars, and then depending on what the claims come in, they basically say, okay, I'm going to give you 70 cents per dollar. So it's one of those things that it's almost kind of a moving target. The other part about extraordinary aid is that the money actually doesn't come in the 1920 year. It comes in the following summer. So as a result of that, you're always kind of playing catch up a little bit as it pertains to that. Federal sources, we don't anticipate any major changes with the SEMI program. Our estimated revenue projection did go up slightly, but hopefully with the new assistant PA coming on board and working with Mrs. Perez's team, I think we'll be able to kind of really do some good stuff and kind of get that up and running. And then fund balance, for the most part, it should kind of remain flat. As it pertains to the audit, there's this defined fund balance number that we have to introduce as part of the 2018 audit, and now we'll have to use for management plan. So for projections-wise, this is what it looks like for comparisons for the 18-19 year and the anticipated 19-20 year. And once again, and I stress that this is anticipated, obviously subject to what happens at the state level and any other slight adjustments that we might have to make. But for the most part, the revenue is going up just about $1.7 million. A lot of it, like I said before, is local tax levy. Because everything else is for the most part staying flat, a couple of slight adjustments. In conversations with our both Mr. Eiler as a school safety specialist as well as Mr. Nasser, from a facility standpoint, we are looking to kind of expand a little bit the withdrawal of the capital and maintenance reserves a little bit as compared to last year, just based upon the projects that they have kind of come on board. The emergency reserve, like I said, because that's so specific with reference to security projects, we are looking at primarily the impact of Alyssa's law. Alyssa's law is basically a law that Governor Murphy just signed that pretty much requires panic buttons in schools. We're waiting for some guidance from the BOE on what that might look like. And as the final version of the law changed a little bit as compared to the draft that got circulated about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So we're looking for some guidance on there. One of the things that basically says in the law is that the state will provide some funding for it. Just based upon prior history, funding coming for those kinds of initiatives are somewhat limited or sometimes capped. So we'll have to kind of explore that a little bit more. So that if we need to kind of offset some of those, the implementation of that project, we can use the the emergency reserve. So this is kind of just a snapshot of what the anticipated revenue looks like from a high standpoint in comparison to the FY19 year. So the numbers are kind of small, but the big blue section is at 78.1. Last year was 78. And then for the second largest group, which is the purple one, which is state aid, that is 18% versus 18.7% versus 19 last year. So for the most part, as you can see, the majority of the budget is the local tax levy. And then the second next pie piece is the state aid with all the other sources kind of coming in that. So this is just as we wrap up, this is kind of a snapshot of other resources that folks can kind of lean on to kind of get a better understanding of how we kind of fall in as compared to other districts. There's obviously the access to the usual federal budget, comprehensive annual financial report, which the auditor presented, and then the district budget calendar, and the other previous year budgets are available on the district's website. So just to kind of summarize, we kind of touched on the sources of revenue, where the money comes from, historical data, how does the anticipated revenue for 1920 compared to 1819, assumptions, the things that are kind of going on around us that we need to kind of protect against, and then obviously projections. My information is right there. The PowerPoint presentation is going to be available online as well. So at this point, I'll turn it over back to Mrs. Friedman for any board questions.
Okay, so I want to open it up to everybody to ask questions on everybody on the board to ask questions regarding the presentation. But I would like to, there's no real issue, just sort of start off, and Ms. Perez, this may also address some of your presentation. With the ESS, I just want to make sure I understand the difference. These are not teachers. These are aides, where they are able to attend to the children in a way that allows the teacher to keep teaching the classroom, but really holistically deal with the child and coping skills, mental health issues that a teacher couldn't do without taking away from the rest of the students. Is that correct?
The clinicians are working on the strategies. They provide support to the teachers, giving them some interventions that they can include in the classroom to de-escalate any anxiety. However, the clinicians are providing support.
And I wasn't sure. So as this is happening, the teacher can still continue to teach the class while the student exercise, it's taken out and can go through and talk out the emotions and issues. And which is sort of a joint question for the two of you, Mr. Ferreira, as well. The number of improvements that we've made, including a reading program for early intervention, has that led to a decline in sending kids out of district, being able to save money and keep kids closer to home?
Yes, I actually I forgot to mention that the potential savings that we had with what currently with the 27 students is a $1.9 million savings.
And if we did this preschool expansion, if we ever got that grant, that would expand that number likely?
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm very proud to say is that, part of the program that we have here, working with Ms. Perez, Dr. Mike, and the academy team, is that I think what we're seeing, especially at the early elementary grades, is not the need to send kids out. So as we kind of deliver more and more of those services that our students need and try to put them in the most restrictive environment, it also is translating into dollars savings. It's difficult to quantify on any given year what that number is because kids constantly coming in and leaving the district. But for the most part, as we kind of look at the projections for stuff like ICR, POR, things that Ms. Perez and Ms. Brown will speak to a lot more detail than I can, it's encouraging to see that our efforts are paying dividends.
I didn't have anything else. Does anybody else have any other questions regarding any of the presentations? Seeing none? I think you guys are all done. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. McMahon.
Just in terms of the budget presentation, when you, and I appreciate, I was only half kidding when I said riveting as always. But it is important that not only as board members and the community, we have an opportunity to really take a deep dive into the nitty-gritty of how the budget is built. At our next meeting, do you anticipate having more specified projections of how you see the budget allocations needing to be made, recommendations, et cetera?
Yeah, so the budget timeline typically is that the governor has a budget address in February, state aid gets released within 48 hours, and then typically the beginning, the middle to late part of March, the board would see a tentative budget, approve the tentative budget, and consequently that would go to the county for review and approval. Based upon the impact of the state legislature kind of giving the governor an extra 2 weeks, give or take, to present the budget and do the budget address, it fast forwards the timeline a little bit. So normally we would have this kind of conversation and the tentative budget would be presented at the regular action meeting at the end of March. It's actually going to be presented a couple weeks from now at the COW. In terms of the level of detail and the kind of steps that are going on behind the scenes, obviously the admin team is working feverishly to kind of get those provisions in play. And especially when you have a situation where you don't know what the state aid is going to be until literally 48 hours before we're presenting. The governor presents the address on March 8th, as I said. So in essence, the state aid would be available 48 hours after that, which basically pushes us into Friday before the COW meeting. So those are the kinds of things that right now we're working on, kind of doing those projections, doing those assumptions, and then almost kind of have a plan B and a plan C in the back of our mind that in the event that state aid goes up, we take on these initiatives, and in the event that state aid gets cut, then these are kind of a couple of things that get coming in for. So that's kind of the thought of what's going on in the central office and the entire admin team, not just folks that answers your question.
Thank you, it does. And I know for myself, the most important part about all of this, other than the surprise we get from the governor's delivery, is to have as much information as early as possible, so that we are not caught off guard by any big surprises. Just like you, I know, don't want to be caught off guard by the governor's surprises.